So Gianluca,
Yes.
tell us about your concept for this.
So this piece is it's in conversation with a body of work of installations that I've been developing over time. Working with primarily materials that are accessible to an artist, photo umbrellas, projectors, lights, which are materials that I've used not only as an artist but also as a professional photographer. So I conflate these with my interest in science, space, and exploration, and creating structures that may allude to both sort of satellites kind of crashing, but also maybe structures that in themselves are trying to be semi-intelligent. Hence why the projection comes in. They're talking to themselves with light, so using their own internal light to get to know each other. So this idea of like this skeletal structure made of tripods, architectural desk lamps, which are, also kind of more of a studio type of material used for drafting tables. So it's about creating a kind of, almost like a science fiction narrative with very accessible equipment. Sometimes, just to paint a picture, I like to reference a Red Hot Chili Pepper song where they say, space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. So in my case, it's made in my basement, like the artist's man cave, But besides that thematic, the work is also just simply formal in that it deals with line, color, shapes, shadows, and it's like in a space like this, it's also responsive to the environment. In other words, the fact that there's available daylight and then a changing light. So these are pieces that, depending on the site, can have a daytime experience, but also a nighttime experience.
So we're going to be doing this as a hybrid exhibition. This is going to be installed in a real space and then photographed and then rendered and processed so that it will be available mostly as an online virtual experience. And you've titled your piece Conversation with Reality. What is it? What's it like for you to? What's it like for you to be organizing an exhibition, an installation actually that's meant to be approached virtually, as opposed to in real time by real people walking up to it?
Well, so the title of the piece is An Attempt to Communicate with Reality.
An attempt. Okay.
Attempt, because we don't know if we're going to succeed at that.
That's true.
So there's this idea of trying to have a dialogue with both space and formal concerns regarding art and sculpture. I am not especially thrilled about the virtual gallery experience that we're all having.
Me either.
And neither are you. But you brought to mind the fact that with this work, there might be an opportunity to do something with that, where it makes sense that it can be a virtual experience. And I think the kind of pockets of light and projection, shadow, slowly moving forms can be integral to creating an interesting virtual dialogue. So an attempt to communicate with reality follows a piece I did at New Jersey University called An Attempt to Communicate with the Sky, which was in a similar vein, but it dealt with the verticality of the wall on which it was built and the skylight coming from above. So the projections were also trying to talk to kind of light coming from above. In this case, reality, because we have the reality of virtual experience And then there's the reality of the multiple realities that we're experiencing in the information age, sort of muse, what is real, what is not real, sort of perception of things, I think, is constantly in flux. So I think art is a great way to sort of process some of those things, to think about what is actually real to the sculpture, what is a projection, what is light, what is shadow, what are drawn forms. So some elements of Trump come into this project. So it's an attempt. Let's see if we can communicate with reality through a sculpture that is also itself has projected images. So there's a little bit of that already that I think is talking to the internet. Moving images, and then it being filtered through this new sort of mechanism of looking at art through virtual gallery tours. Instead of just looking at a painting, maybe we can immerse ourselves into a piece that has in itself multiple dimensions, So I think that's what I'm playing with when it comes to the reality aspect.
Play is the right word, and I'm really looking forward to this. So we're going to check in with your progress as the week goes on, and we're going to see what we come up with. This is going to be an experiment for all of us.
It is, absolutely. So thank you.
Cool, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.